quite a pleasure being amongst you on this podium and sharing a few thoughts of mine. I'm sure since morning, all of you have been through some real, informative pieces about innovation, metaverse. You have heard of success stories. I just wish to declutter something, right? Something which will be interesting, something which will be different, and it'll be good if I can get an understanding that probably if you have heard this uh, before, in terms of your understandings. Otherwise, you know, uh, in most of our cases, in all across our life, we seek through something called mentor, right? We look up to somebody called somebody would help, guide, somebody would take us through. But then at the end of the day, we definitely do have something at our own end, and that's our mind, right? Which we often use and which we often probably would like to use it more. So, what you see here in front of yourselves is something which I called walk your mind. Now, walk your mind is not something about physically doing it, but it's something about how we essentially explore our mind and to bring across something which is free for all of us. What you see here are the five basic elements of nature which are available all across. We talk of water, fire, earth, air, and space. Would you agree with me that all of these are freely available? Yeah? Great. So let's see how we make use of them as a part of our life. You know, be it in life, be it in terms of coming up with ideas, coming up with new dimensions, whether you are launching a business, whether you are creating a substantial throughput, whatever. It takes that one moment of brilliance when you need to think something. And that particular one moment lights up that idea in you. Uh, in ancient days, probably we all have known or heard or seen when fire was first created, right? It was actually a effort of two stones being, continuously friction together. And then at one point of time, there would be a brisk fire, and the dry grass would catch fire, and hey, fire is born. Same is what when we see in life when we think of ideas. And when we think of ideas, they are not necessarily about ideas which are need to be path breaking. Not all ideas even need to be path breaking, right? To come down to that stage of how we want to see an idea, what we need to do is that we need to kind of, for one moment, declutter our mind from all our failures, all our experiences which we have garnered. In most of the cases, and particularly more for people who have across people like me who have probably seen 25 years of their life in the corporate world and probably a half a decade of their life with respect to various kinds of experiences they have gone through, our experiences become our biggest roadblocks, right? We tend to feel, I have done that 3 years back, I had failed, it can't happen anymore. I also tend to feel, I heard my friend who had done this 5 years back, or 6 years back, or 7 years back, and he had failed, therefore it can't be done anymore. But what is more important is that 5 years back and now, the time was different, the receiving end was different, the giver was different, the situation was different, you were different. So things are changing. So the best thing one can do to start setting up that understanding of idea or to ideate as per the theme is, as we say, clean up the air. So that's how we say the second best amount of thing of element of nature comes in. I call that delete whatever you have in your mind as your experiences and let fresh things, fresh ideas, fresh thoughts, fresh observations flow across in your mind. You know, once when we move towards that domain of thinking through, the next thing which we need is to build something. Now, quite honestly, unless you're doing something for your own self. In fact, anything at all is not possible when you are doing it all by yourself and all alone. You need people, either to assist, support, build, execute. You need team. And the best path to make your ideas grow or your businesses grow or your ventures grow is when you are not thinking about yourself. We need to resist that urge that it is about me and myself. Just think about it. We have a situation, or any one of y'all in your given span of life, whether in work, business, entrepreneurship, or whatever else you come across. You have a team of people. Assume you have deployed 5, you have deployed 10, 100, 1,000, whatever the number might be. Assume your thought process is to make sure that all of this 100 or 10 or 50 people grow in their life. You are actually making your own growth path simplified. So the more we resist the urge about making our own selves grow, and we help, support, and propel of making others grow, this entire dynamism of growth and of approach of growth, it changes in a very drastic way. So just like the way the other element of nature comes across, which we call water. So water by nature, it says it's flowing, unless we kind of make it static. So let the water flow. Let the energies flow. Let the growth flow to somebody else. You will definitely keep sailing in the right direction. No two ways about it. While we come to the dimensions of making others grow, we cannot take away the fact that a lot of effort does go in, right? And as we have heard since morning with many speakers, we have heard about uh, entrepreneurs, we have heard about business people who have said how hard and how difficult it was. It takes a lot of hard work to grow and to keep on succeeding. But the best part of the learning of the story is, no matter whatever you do, there can be minor losses, minor hiccups, but everything is leading all of us towards a learning. Just like the way, probably, we see soil, right? Earth. No matter how much ever we abuse this, right? We put our dirts, we put garbages on the soil, we put our waste on the soil. But the soil has that ability to convert all of it and create something called manure. That manure is once again plowed back into the soil, which becomes the ingredient for your great fruits and vegetables, which we so-called call organic farming. So the ability to turn across your failures into success is something which is an incredible part of the journey. And for anybody in life, it's never a case when we are actually losing. The more we are thinking it's taking longer time, the more better your foundation is happening, which also means, just like the element of nature which you have, soil, life is all about toiling it hard and soiling it well, right? Eventually, we come to that ultimate dimension, which is always the quintessential part of the entire elements of nature, which is called space. And though this line is kind of known almost to everybody that, walk in silence, let success make the noise, but the truth of the matter remains that confidence is always calm, right? In most of the cases, a glaring example, which we often see across nations, when nations boast about their or take pride in their armed or army strength, right? The strength of the army does not depend on how strong they go across and shout across on the borders. They don't shout their lungs out and say that, we are 10 lakh people strong, so let's give it a hulla. No, it doesn't happen that way, right? So the strength of the army is always defined by how strong they are, but is their confidence. And they don't shout around. On the contrary, you have seen another dimension. We have seen such cases where people have negligible strength, but they make a lot of noise. So the point remains that ego, which takes across a major part of our productivity, when we try to see, seek, work, and think all around, including me and myself in the picture, that actually makes a lot of noise. Real confidences will always be the calm ones. So the more calmer you are, the more you are allowing your thoughts, your observations, and your abilities to think through and become more productive in life. So therefore, accumulating all what we spoke of across the 5 elements with fire, air, water, earth, and space. So what we see is that fire, as we see, let and light the fire. With fire, we talk of ideate, to recreate, and to create, uh, innovations in the path of our life. Air, as we see, and as we have said, let's clean the air. So what the air does, and what we're trying to learn from this, is how deeply you observe and analyze. Water, as we said, let it flow. So walk towards others' growth. Earth, we spoke about toil hard. So where you turn every loss into a success. And finally, space, which talks about be calm. So pride actually kills productivity. So the more the calmer you are, the better essence of life it is. What we get to see is that the all basic elements are actually our best mentors of life. And they're right there for us, and that's free of cost. All we need to do is to understand, absorb, imbibe, and live them well through. Finally, if you actually are empowered and if you kind of strengthen yourself with this thought through, you will definitely be the amongst ones which are not in the crowd. You will certainly be the one who would want to be, and that's what we always boast of saying when we say be you. Be you is not just about that pride in you or the pride in us. Be you is about what you want the others to see and what you others want you to be. So it's actually a give and take relationship all the time. So with this, I wish you all the very best and look forward in the next session. Thank you so much.